Welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be rebuilding this 2005 drz400S. So this is the on-off road model, comes with the dirt tires. I've owned this bike for about 9 years and it's time to go through it. I got the engine all apart. I'll show you a little time lapse of that, me tearing that apart. But I'm going to do a more in-depth video of me putting it back together. And I got all these case bearings out. I'll show you that in the video that's to come. Cleaning up this case. We'll get the bearings pressed in, cold pressed in. That's coming. And we'll get the rest of this build back together. Enjoy. Okay, so you see the little time lapse that I created there, just kind of tearing into this engine. But I want to be able to show you a little in-depth, mechanical video of me taking these gears out and cleaning this case up and then replacing all these bearings. And I'm just gonna kind of pull this system out, show you how to do that, and kind of keep it all in one cluster and put it to the side so that you can just put this all back in as a whole. And this is the shift drum, so we're going to get impact driver and we'll get these pulled out. Okay, we're just going to pull this to the side. You can pull this out, but you got to be careful because there's a little spring. Be careful. Okay, we have it right here. These two little, I don't know what they're called exactly. I call them little dogs, but just be careful when you pull that off and put that to the side in a safe spot. Okay, we're gonna get a socket to get this off. Okay, now that's off. Pull this. Careful. Pull that up. Okay. You've got it. Make sure you're holding it. Get that pulled out. Set this to the side. Okay, we'll get this oil screen off right here. 10 mil. And you're just going to want to go through and take all these out. So you're going to have it's like a keeper clip for that bearing. The screw is also Loctite on these. Okay, open up these bearings. Figure out for one side of the case. Do this one case half and get the gears back in it and put it to the side. Okay, we got all the bearings. There's 5 on this one case, and I'm going to get all these bearings out and get these new bearings in, these gears back in this, so we can put that to the side. Okay, I'll set this up so I can show you. Probably just going to knock these bearings out, and then we will go up and cold press them back in with the shop press in the garage.
And then as you get out here to the end, it's just nothing more than curved plastic. So how you guys are dealing with that is you can throw a rack on top. I have it in a spec rack for the cans that we're going to be testing out.
Okay, there you have it. Got all those bearings out. I use a little bit of heat. As you can see, doesn't take much. Those are the 5 bearings. I use the punch, nice hammer, 3-pound hammer, and I get this 2-inch blower, 2x4, so yeah, it's 2-inch height. Just something so to support that underneath, and heat those up properly, spin it around, because obviously there's this little lip here. You want to make sure that that's spun around properly. Alright, we're going to get this pressure washed, all cleaned up, and then we'll get the new bearings pressed back in there. Okay, we got the bearings that we need, the 5 bearings to press into this case half, and I will set it up and we'll press it in with the 20-ton shop press I have in the garage. Okay, we're out in the garage, and something you want to do is try to find a socket or something to hit that outer race of that bearing. So you gotta find the right size ones for each bearing. Okay, I'm gonna start off with this crank bearing and get this pressed in. Make sure that this case is on a flat surface. I got these big press pads that kind of came with this thing, and we'll see how well we can get this thing lined up and pressed in there. Nice, going right in. Okay, we'll pull it out, flip it around to check. We don't want to go too tight. This thing has a lot of power. Flip it around. That looks pretty good. That's spaced out for sure. Okay, and we'll start on the next ones. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one, and then this was number side down, so there's numbers on one side. I don't know if it matters or not, but I'm just gonna do the same thing. So this bearing goes here. Now these 5 bearings to this case side, they're all different sizes, so you can't get them wrong. Bearings get put in nice and slick. So in case you're wondering, that 20-ton shop press came from Harbor Freight. I think I paid like $200 for it. They have them on sale sometimes for like $160, $180. They're definitely worth picking up one of those. We are gonna get these gears put back in. We'll check them out, make sure there's no metal shavings in them or anything like that. I don't really want to disturb them too much, but I am going to try to blow them out, make sure they're all good, and we'll get those gears back in this side. Okay, we're going to get these little bearing keepers in. 2 of the bearings get them, this one and this one, and they definitely require red Loctite on there, on these bolts, so we're going to get those on there. Okay, I'm going to get a little look at these gears. Can probably pull this barrel off. We'll get that figured out. And already I found a little piece of rubber gasket in there. Probably wouldn't have been a big deal, but if that was to get in some kind of oil port and block the oil from getting somewhere, it could burn out something. So it's important to make sure everything's clean and ready for installation. Pull this apart. Okay. As you can see, the gears look good. They don't look like they're damaged in any way. They look all, I don't see any weird, funny wear on them. And I'm not seeing any kind of metal chips in there. Looks pretty good. So I think we're good. I don't see anything metal dust or anything on any of these, so and I'll just refer to the repair manual just to make sure that I have the shifting forks right and I didn't move it around and everything's going to be going back in there right. This shaft here, I'll probably run a little bit of a Scotch-Brite pad around there real quick actually. Okay, that's probably good. Okay, we're going to attempt to get these gears back in here. So, spin it like this, bring this closer, bring it right there. Now you're going to need some wood to prop the case up because of these shafts stick down below. Okay, that should do it. Okay, it's tricky. This is tricky. Okay, I don't know if my hand was probably in the way for most of that. There's no need to force anything. Make sure everything's just kind of going down smoothly. But this one needs to go down. There we go. There we go. We'll get that barrel in. So we get the barrel. This side goes down. Now, okay. Get this shaft put in. Okay. Ah, there we go. Okay. So I got it now. Okay. Just make sure that everything's moving around. It's not going to work exactly the way it normally works, but as long as you're able to slip that around, you see the shifting forks going up and down, engaging into another gear. Pretty good. So we're good. This all spins freely both ways. I'll move this camera around. You can see how it's spinning freely both ways. Move the shifting fork. Okay. Move it a little more. You can move the shifting forks around. And you know you got it in there properly. Okay, we're going to get the back side of this barrel bolted back down, this shift barrel, and it's get the shifting pawl set up. It has to be installed. So I can tilt this up. While we do it, make sure you don't lose the gears on the back side. So you're going to kind of hold it with your hand. Just get the parts we need. That's going to go in there. This is going to go in first. we will get this in. You're gonna have to pry that back. You have to pry this back because it's spring loaded. Now, there's a little indent there to go line up with that dot. You just gotta find it. It should drop right in. Okay. Okay, let's whack that a little bit. Okay, we're in. Now we're gonna get this shift pawl set up. Back in without losing any of this stuff. This is where the lever comes in. The lever comes in from here, goes over, and it grabs a hold of this. So you make sure you put this in. You're probably gonna have to try to squeeze these. Come into here, and it'll slide right in. Now, we'll get these Phillips head screws back in. Okay, now that that's done, you can flip it back over. Make sure you grab your gears from behind. Flip it back over. Now that barrel is in there. Now it clicks, you hear it. And that's how it'll sound when you go to use the lever. Well, there we go. We got all the new bearings put in, gears put back in. Everything's working good. And spinning freely. And we can get the other case half bearings in and get this show on the road. Okay, we're gonna get this crank put in, this balancer put back in. Now you're gonna probably need a crank installer. This one's made by Tusk. I can't remember how much that is, but it wasn't too bad. I bought a case splitter, crank installer, and I think it was like 120 for all of it. Probably bought it, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. But sometimes these slide right in. You use a little bit of oil. I'm just using some Lucas 20W50 synthetic oil, and I'll lube up the shaft around in the inside of this for hopes that it just drops in. Sometimes they do. Sometimes you're going to use the crank installer. All right, we'll get started. So this was the alternative puller that I had found in my box, and that worked out with these plates. You know, I put them on each end on the case, and I put the nut on, the stock nut around the shaft, and then I just zip tied it around here, and it pulled that crank right in. Doesn't take much force, and if it is taking a lot of force, there's something wrong. And just flip back around, get it on the blocks. Make sure your shaft has enough room. All right, good. Now we'll position this crank to get this balancer in here. Just make sure that you're putting it in the proper direction. Give her a little oil. These usually pop right in. And this you can actually tap it in with a brass hammer. Okay, we're in. Now, that's all good. Cranks in. So there you have it, guys. Cranks put back in, balancers put back in. Obviously that needs to be timed up from the clutch side, but that's all nice and smooth. And I'll go to get the owner's manual, and I will get the feeler gauge. Okay, we're gonna get these bearings pulled out of here, clean up this case, and we'll get the new ones pressed back in. Okay, we got all these case bearings cold pressed back in. A couple different seals that had to go in. Here's a lot of the old bearings out of both cases. Now we're gonna have to clean all this up real good with some acetone, or brake clean, whatever you want to do. And I'd cover these bearings though if you're gonna use brake clean. But I use the acetone with a rag, clean this all up, and then use the Suzuki Bond, or I'm going to use Honda Bond because I have some. And then the fun part begins is putting these two case halves back together. Okay, we're going to get the cases back together. So I'm going to clean all these mating surfaces, get some Suzuki Bond, or I have this Honda Bond left over I was going to use. We'll clean the mating surfaces with the acetone. Get yourself a nice clean microfiber, and get your oil ready, crank installer ready, your bolts ready, and I'll show you how to get this all back together. Okay, there it is. Transmission's back together. Everything spins freely and nice. have to start getting the rest of this back together. Okay, so we're gonna get the valves out of this, and we're gonna check them all out. And I got new valve guide seals, and I like to clean these valves up, inspect them, make sure that they're good. And we will take out these caps and get the shims out, and we're gonna organize them in a way so we can remember which ones came out of which spot. And if you look, you have EX, that's exhaust, and then there's intake right there. It's labeled in the head of this. So we'll do that. We'll write a little note of where these came out on a piece of paper. What we will do is I'll lay those down and kind of stuff the paper underneath it so we know. I'll show you in a little bit. Get these coming out. I like to use a little magnet puller. Just grabs a hold of it, pull it up. There's the shim. Okay, we're gonna put it with the cap. And you can just leave it upside down like that. And we will organize those. Okay, so now I'm going to get this valve impression tool, and we'll get this all set up. Okay, just want to get it like that on the center of whatever valve you're going to compress. Bring it around to the other side. Snug it up. I don't have the rod for that, but I can probably find something here. There we go. Enough to get those keepers out. And that should be good. I like to come in with my little magnet. Try to grab those. And there's one. And there's the other one. Now you're going to back this off. Should be able to pull that out. Now pull this stuff out here. Now I should be able to push that valve straight out. There it comes. Okay, and that is one of the intake valves. So it looks pretty good, but I definitely get some carbon buildup on them. I'm going to clean those up. Okay, I just want to show you, this is the little system I have. You can see that I have EX, exhaust side. I have it marked for the cam, where the cams go, where the cam chain comes up around, and then the intake side. and I've just organized them exactly how they came out of the head. Okay, we're gonna get the valve guide seals out of this thing. They should come right out, or not. Yeah, this one came plopping right out. And these we're just gonna be tossing anyway because we got new ones. There's brand new ones in the kit. There we go, all four are out, and we're gonna have to get this thing cleaned up and ready for installing them back in. Okay, we got this all cleaned up, and we're going to be relapping the valves with a rubbing compound, and then we'll have to wash it again, and then we can get the seals in there and get it all back together. I'm going to get these valves lapped, and you're going to need a valve lapper, and I bought these PT Performance Tool ones, and I think I got them at O'Reilly's. Pretty cheap. And then you're going to need some valve grinding compound, and you just kind of stick this valve lapper on, and it's suction cups. You can wet it a little bit and then just stick her down, and then it spins the valve, and you just kind of go like this, just like this, back and forth. And with that compound in there, and that just is what that's going to do, is create a new seal for all your valves. Just kind of spin this around. Okay guys, there you have it. I don't want to take these valves out and place them in a spot. Remember to make a little note of which ones go where, because they're specific to which ones we grinded up, you know, lapped. So you're going to want to take this one and put it back into that hole, this one back into that one. But you really want to make sure that you wash this up and get rid of this grinding compound. You don't want any of that in there. It's like a sandpaper. You can wear out parts. So make a little thing and lay the valves out, clean them all up, wash this. I'm just going to wash it with dish soap and in my sink and blow it out with the air hose and let it dry really well. And then I'll get my valve guide seals put back in and get the springs back in and the keepers and all that. And then this will be all done. Okay, we're going to get these valve guide seals in. So one side has a spring, one side doesn't. The part that doesn't have a spring is the part that goes down. I'll show you here. We'll flip this over. So they're going to be going right into over these guides. There's the valve guides. So So what I like to do is just take a pair of needle nose. Kind of a pain, but okay, you can just get it on with your finger. You just kind of work it from one side to the other with your finger, and it'll pop right on there. Okay, we're gonna measure the valve spring free length of all these valves springs, the inner and outer. So, okay, the inner, we'll do the outer length, 36.3 millimeters. 36.3. So it looks like this is definitely good enough. It's a little more. So I'd say that's probably good. And then the inner is 32.6 millimeters. 32.6. So this one's over also, so that's good. Have it. All the valves are back in, keepers are there. Make sure that they're all locked in. If they weren't, they probably would just come out, but you definitely want to make sure that they're in that little groove in there. You can tell because they'll all be the same height. That rest of the end of the valve stem should be sticking out all equally the same. And there you have it. Valves are all lapped. Valve guide seals are in. Springs checked out for the length. So this is all set. We can set this to the side. Okay, I want to check the valve clearance while this engine's out, or the head's out. So I'm just going to bolt this down and we'll get some feeler gauges. We'll line up this gear like it's timed up. We'll just get it in a relatively straight area where it's supposed to be. And we'll just check with the feel gauge. Okay, so make sure that that's lined up again. We'll come back around here. The exhaust side is anywhere from, minimum is 0.2 millimeters, maximum is 0.3. Okay, that fits in now. Same with that. Now let's just make sure that it's not over, so we can go up to maximum 0.3. And I can slip it in that one, but I cannot slip it in this one. So let's see what we can do on that one. Go up to 0.28. Okay, it still goes through. Okay, we'll try the maximum, which is 0.30, 0.3, and that actually slides through some drag. I'm just gonna change that one. So I'll take this one back off, and I will shim that a little differently. That one's a 3, so I'll put that back in a 3, and I'm actually going to go to a 3.10. I'm going to try that one out. Okay, get this cam back in. Okay, so 3 up on the intake side, 2 up on the exhaust, and then line up your arrows that face with each other with the case. Okay, always make sure these lobes are facing out. Okay, we'll go back to the exhaust side, which is 0.2 millimeter minimum, 0.3 millimeter maximum. Okay, 0.20 feels a little draggy, equally. We'll check it, we'll go a little higher to 0.23. And we can put it in, but it's draggy on that one. Okay, we can put it in and it's draggy on that one. I'll check the next size up, but I don't think it's gonna go, which is good. 0.25. Okay, and I cannot fit 0.25 in on either one, so that is good on the exhaust side. So the intake side is anywhere from 0.1 to 0.2 millimeters. So we're gonna check it right now. That slides in, so we'll go up. It was kind of draggy right there, so 152, let's try the 152. Okay, that does not fit. We'll try the 127. 0.127. Okay, that goes in. It's very draggy, but it goes in. You want to make sure on the intake side that your number 3 arrows facing up, and then there's side arrows. 2 is going that way. 1 is going straight down, and I just like to line that 2 arrow up with the case. I don't know if you can see that right there. There's an arrow right here. I line it up with that case. 3 is pointing up, 1's down. And there you have it, guys. So that is shimmed up, pretty even on that one, and definitely good on that one. I'll recheck it when I have the cam chain on, obviously, when it's all bolted together before I put that valve cover back on, but this is relatively good to go. Okay, we're gonna check the cylinder. I got it all cleaned up in the parts washer, cleaned up the piston, and we're gonna inspect these to make sure that they're still good for service, to reuse them. So in the manual, it says to check at 6 different points for the cylinder bore, which is 90.015 millimeters. So as long as it comes in that range, you'll be able to reuse this. So I'll just show you. This isn't the correct tool they say to use, but as long as I'm roughly within it, I'm good. So 89.95, and it has to be 90.015. So that's definitely good. I'm sure with the exact tool you can get it a little more than that, but I would have to say that cylinder is probably good. I'm not going to replace it, and the inside of it looks amazing anyway. So we're good. And then on the piston, you want to measure up from the bottom of the skirt, 15 millimeters. Just make sure this thing's zeroed out. It is. So bring it to 15 millimeters. Okay, that's 15 millimeters, roughly. Okay, we're gonna wanna go up here, and then you measure from that spot right there, 15 millimeters up. You're gonna measure right like that. So we got 89.97 in the manual. It says service limit is 89.88. So that's, if it's that small, it can't go anything at more. So 75 to 100 millimeters is what is good. And we're in that range. So this piston is still good. I checked it for cracks. I don't see any cracks. So I'll put new rings on this and we'll do that. We'll re-ring it. And we'll check for the ring gap here in a second to make sure that ring gap is good. If it's not, we'll have to shave those rings down. Okay, now I'm gonna use this flex hone. This is a deglazing hone. I think it's 95 millimeters, so that's a 90 millimeter bore. So this will work on a bunch of different size cylinders. And we'll get into this cylinder and get the new cross hatches put in for the new rings. Okay, I'm just gonna use some of this motorcycle oil, 20W50, to just kind of lubricate the inside of this while I use this hone. Okay, there it is. Got this all ready for the new rings. Clean this up, get the oil off it, and we'll set that to the side. Get the rings on the piston, set that to the side. Okay, we're gonna start getting these gears in on this clutch side. And I'm just gonna kind of give you an overhead view, and I'll probably just speed the video up and we'll get to the more important stuff like the timing chain and timing up the engine once the cylinder is on. So the second ring, the ring end gap compressed is 0.08 through 0.20. That's what the ring end gap should be compressed inside of your cylinder. So I'm able to get a 0.08 in, so I know that we're good. because it's bigger than that. So I'll try 0.13 mil. And we're good. And I know I can't get a 50 in there, and that's the maximum limit. Or actually 20 is, I guess. Let's try 20. Okay, we're good. So we can try the top ring. Get that in there, square it up. Get the second ring out, that in there. Square up the piston. And we're good. We are good. Okay, we're gonna install these rings. Get this piston ready to be, so we can get the head on. So we're gonna start off with the oiler. So get your top ring and your other ring out of the way. You get these two spacers, and then you have the oil ring groove. Okay, this is gonna go on the bottom, one of the spacers for the oil ring. And those can go on any way. Okay, I just took one of the spacers and took it off to the side. Now I'm gonna get the oil ring in there, the oiler. Okay, you just wanna make sure you don't overlap that. And then we'll get them in the orientation they have to be. Right there, the gap's gonna, so here's your exhaust side, this little dot. So that'll be like this when it's on. A little dot right there. And the bottom oil ring needs to be right here. The gap in it. Okay, that's on. Okay, the R is up for your second ring. And it's gonna go, so there's a little R on that second ring, goes up. So your exhaust dot is forward like that, and the ring gap's gonna go right here. Now I'll get that on there. Just make sure that ring gap's kind of where it needs to be. And we'll get that top ring on. So the first ring, there's a groove. I don't know if you can see that. That needs to be facing up. And that is gonna go like that. This is the top ring. So the gap will be right there. Okay, we're gonna get this starter clutch on, and the mag and the stator. We're gonna get this washer on, put this nut on, and this gets 79.5 foot-pounds of torque. There we go. Okay, we're just gonna spin this around, and we gotta hold it from the other side to torque some of these into place. And we're gonna do this balancer right here. Okay, you can hold the back side where the stator is with a wrench. This gets 36 foot-pounds on the balancer. Okay. Now spin this around. this back on here. Okay. Now we're going to get that cover on. Radiator cover, put a brand new gasket on. This head gasket on and get the head on, and then we'll get the cam chains up, the cam chain up and through there, the cams back in, get this motor timed up and all torqued down. Okay, we're going to get these cylinder head bolts in, and first torque is 18 foot-pounds and a final is 33.5. We'll get them in and just snug them all down. Okay, we're going to go on a cross pattern. We'll start with this one, we'll cross over, we'll go to this one, and we'll go back to this one. Got it at 18 foot-pounds. Okay, there's 18. Okay, we're going to go to 33.5 for a final. Okay, we're going to do these bolts right here, these 4 at 7 foot-pounds, and then a final at 10 on the bottom. Okay, now we'll get these cams in. Okay, you just want to make sure that you have your marking right. You see that T, then the slash, line it up in the center of the hole of the case right there. And that's top dead center. Okay, we're going to get the cams back in here. Try to get them lined up. Make sure 3 is facing up on this intake side, and the 2 is level with your case. And the arrows are lined up there. Okay, I'm just gonna put some of this engine assembly lube in the journals. That'll be for initial startup. Okay, now you want to count 15 pins from the 3 arrow all the way over to the 2 arrow to make sure that these are lined up properly. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we are off by 1. I'm going to pull that up, click it back in. Get that set, recount it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, we're 15. Okay, just double check to make sure the T is aligned with the hole. And we are. T is aligned. Let's look back here. Looks like we are on the money. Very good. Very good. Okay, so you just double check. You make sure that your arrows are lined up with where the gasket's gonna go. So there's 2 arrows going this way on each gear right here. And they are. Your 2 is up, 3 is up, 15 pins to each arrow mark. And your T on your stator is aligned with the hole. And this is timed up. Now we can get the covers back on. Okay, we'll get these cam covers back on. I'm just gonna put a little more engine assembly lube on there. Okay, we'll do the intake. It says IN on it. There's an IN on the inside here. Okay, camshaft journal holder bolts. I'll get torqued down to 7 foot-pounds. Okay, I'm just gonna get the cam chain tensioner back in and we'll back this all the way off. I put a manual one in this one. It's not the automatic one anymore. Get this put back in. Make sure that everything is still timed up. So we'll just get that all snugged up. So as you can see, those arrows are all lined up with the case here. Same with that one. 2 is up, 3 is up, and there's 15 pins in between the 3 and the 2. We're gonna get this cleaned up here, and we're gonna add some Suzuki bond and get this gasket back on and this valve cover back on.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. You got me shooting into space.
Okay, that's all back on, valve cover. So you only put that Suzuki bond on the bottom side. That way later on, when you want to do a clearance check, you can take this off.
Flying at the sun, I'm never coming back cause baby you're the...
Okay, we're gonna get this clutch on. And you want to get the seat ring, which is the flat one, in there first. And then the spring ring is gonna go on. So there's a tapered end, and you just want to make sure that the tapered end is pulled out like this going in, so that the end point here is closest to me pulled out. Okay, and then you're going to take the first clutch plate, and you got one of the clutch plates is different than all the other ones, and so you're going to take the smaller size one and put it in there first. Okay, now you're going to want to go with a pressure plate. Okay, don't forget your rod. Rod goes in the middle.
Every day of the week. All day, all night, running around. I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down.
Clutch back in, covers back on. I gotta get a new oil filter in that, and then we'll put the cover back on that. We'll get the starter back on.
All night running around. I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down.
Okay, there you have it. This motor's built. It's gonna be ready to be put back into the frame of the dirt bike. Okay, I'm gonna get this motor back in the frame and start getting everything hooked up. I'm just gonna assemble this bike, and I'm just gonna do like a fast time lapse of it, and we'll be done with it. okay. It's all back together. I gotta do some finishing touches, like put the chain on, stuff like that, but new battery back in it. Here it is. I hope you enjoyed. I'll do another video of this thing running and out on a trail ride. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.